interested in it. And that's because I used some of my secret techniques, which you can apply to any guitar. An inexpensive guitar such as this beautiful guitar right here, and even an electric guitar. You can turn an electric guitar into an acoustic guitar, and you can make any inexpensive guitar sound like it's rich, and the body is huge, even though it's not. So stick around to the end and I will show you how to do that. But first, let me tell you about this very guitar, which is called Enya Nova Go SP1. And this little guitar, which is beautiful by the way, is made out of carbon fiber, which means that this guitar is very solid and temperature and weather resistant. You can technically clean it with a wet cloth or whatever you want to use, and also because of that the strings rarely get out of tune. It is very hard. You can do whatever you want and it's not going to break.
Or maybe it will. Don't try that. Don't try that. Or maybe it will. So also means that this guitar can take a beating, which I cannot say about my old guitar, which, as you can see, it's really beat up.
So this guitar should not get as damaged over time as my old and trusty classical guitar. What's also worth mentioning is that this guitar has a 0 fret, which technically means that it should stay in tune better. Hello. Sorry for the intermission, but I forgot to add something. Other reviewers said that the action in this guitar is very high, which, as someone who plays an electric guitar with a very low action, I cannot agree with. The action of this guitar is perfect in my opinion. It is absolutely not too high, but it might be this specific guitar that has a lower action than usual, or maybe Enya changed it after hearing the reviews. Either way, for me the action is very good. And what's also very unique about this guitar is that it has a built-in speaker. And this speaker you can use for various things. For example, you can play a backing track through it, you can play a metronome. But also, what is really special is that this guitar has built-in effects. When I turn it on, right now it's green, which is the standard, a little bit boosted sound. It sounds like this. When you click it one more time, it switches to blue, which is a reverb. Very nice. Reverb is actually my favorite effect that is built into this guitar. The next effect, which we have here, is this nice teal or cyan color, which is a delay. It's quite nice, but honestly it's not my favorite. And that's because you cannot change the tempo unless you are using the app, which is not really handy. And the app itself, it does not have standard BPM measures, only milliseconds, which is also not very useful. My apologies for stopping again, but please Enya, add a BPM option to your delay. Also, the more effects, the merrier, so please think about introducing some new effects sometime. Perhaps more reverb options with different algorithms and longer tail, a tape-style delay, or maybe even distortion. I know that your other guitars have more choices, so this would be a very welcome addition to Nova Go. The next one is this purple one, which by default is an automatic wah effect. Right now I have changed it, because yes, you can customize those presets. I have changed it to be more of a chorus with a little bit of reverb and delay. And this is my favorite preset that I have dialed in. You can adjust the volume of the effect by turning the dial here. So if you want, you can lessen the effect, and this is what I do for my preset that I made. Because this preset is very boosted. I boosted it on purpose so that I can dial it back here. So when I dial it back, it sounds like this. Then when we click it one more time, it goes back to green. Now, one thing that I would like to also mention is that this guitar is tiny. It's 3/4 the size of a standard guitar. So it's very small and very lightweight. On top of that, you can also connect it with a standard jack and record the DI input or play it live using a cable. I forgot to mention that this guitar has a USB-C output as well. It is used to charge the guitar, which you have to do in order to use the effects and the DI. The battery apparently lasts to somewhere between 10 hours for the effects and 20 hours for using it plugged with a jack. You can also use the USB-C to record the guitar, but in my experience it has a significant latency, so it is not very usable. They included a lot of stuff with this guitar that are also included for each and every single copy. So if you decided to buy it, you will get that too. There's a cable, an additional pack of 𝗧𝗛𝗪𝗔𝗬 strings, which is really nice considering the price of this guitar. Also this nice little strap, which is nothing special, but it does what it's supposed to. And on top of all that, you even get a nice semi-hard guitar bag, which is built really nicely, and you can put a lot of items and accessories into a built-in pocket. To be perfectly honest, yes, Enya Music sent this guitar to me, but before I got it, I already was in love with this guitar. So my opinion may be a little bit biased. However, I honestly love it. It encouraged me to just pick it up and play, write new music, and just fiddle around playing with those effects, which are amazing because you can really sit anywhere you want, and you can hear all those nice reverbs and delays and choruses, and it makes this guitar very special. So now that you know about this new guitar of mine, thank you Enya for sending it to me. Now I will show you how to turn a little guitar like this into a massive sounding acoustic guitar. And also as a bonus, I will show you how to turn an electric guitar into an acoustic. So I have this project right here to demonstrate what we are going to do. And there are a few steps that I want to show you that are secret. Okay, maybe I am lying a little bit. Those techniques are not secret, but they are not really talked about on YouTube. So we have 3 groups right here. The first one is the microphone recording, the second one is DI, and the third one is the electric guitar. The first thing and the most important thing that you can do in order to make your guitar sound bigger or even clone a different sounding guitar: impulse responses. Yes, the same thing that you'd use for your electric guitar to simulate a cabinet. You can use the same thing to simulate different acoustic guitars. And also you can make your own guitar simulations. But let's start from the very beginning. This is a dry recording of a guitar using a microphone Shure SM57. So as you can hear, it's a little bit plasticky sounding, and that's because the guitar that I recorded is made of carbon fiber, and also it's much smaller than a regular guitar. But that's okay, we can make it sound big. First of all, I have 3 impulse responses loaded. This plugin is called 𝗧𝗛𝗪𝗔𝗬, which is my favorite impulse response loader. That's because you can load up to 8 different impulse responses. You can mix and match between those. You can auto phase align, which is really useful when you have IRs from different sources. And the thing that we are going to also talk about is tone matching, which is also one of the secret techniques of mine. I have 3 IRs loaded in. 2 of them were made by myself. The third one is downloaded from the internet. It is free, and you can find a lot of different impulse responses for acoustic guitars online. So feel free to do so. But first, this is the first impulse response that I made. And this is the second one. And this is the one that I downloaded. So as you can see, they sounded different. And now when we play the song and we move this dot right here, we can blend between them and make them sound as we please. Right here. Oh, and yeah, so we have created a nice full sounding guitar from a very small one, before and after. It's much better. We can also play around with all those settings that we have here, but I'm not going to do that. I increased the smoothness a little bit so that it's not very phasey sounding. So as you can see, when I increase the smoothness, the curve gets smoother. So I increased it a little bit just so that we are safe. So let's do the same thing for the direct recording. So this is how it sounds without any impulses. And this how it sounds with. I have created 4 impulse responses that are available to all my acolytes. You can also buy them directly on my Patreon if you are interested in that. And this is a good place to thank all my acolytes who patiently waited for this video to come out. It took me a long while to make this video, but I am very thankful that you are still here and we are going strong. So if you are interested in those impulses, please check out my Patreon. The second thing that we can do is actually create our own impulse responses. This is where 𝗧𝗛𝗪 actually shines. Alternatively, you can just use a tone matching option, which also is available in different EQs and in different dedicated tone matching plugins, but most of them are not free, so if you cannot spend any money on the plugin, you will have to download some of the impulse responses or get mine. But we will discuss the tone matching when working on the electric guitar. So let's move on to some additional special ingredients that make the acoustic guitar sound even more realistic and even more bigger and more powerful. The first thing that we can do is replace our standard panning with a binaural one. A binaural processing is, to put it simply, a 3D sound. This plugin, 𝗧𝗛𝗪 is actually free, so you can download it and try it out yourself. So we will reset all the panning on all the tracks to 0 to center, and instead of that, we will apply 𝗧𝗪. Now that each track has the plugin applied, we can pan them accordingly. These are the guitars without the plugin, and these are the guitars with the plugin. And now let's move on to the second pair. And all the guitars together sound like this. And without. And we can do the same thing with the DI guitars. Now that we have a very three-dimensional sounding guitar, we can also make it a touch more realistic, and that is using a room emulation. I use this specific UAD Sound City Studios plugin, but you can use any reverb, whatever you want. You can just make a short decay and blend it to your taste. But I use this specific acoustic room emulation, which sounds like this. And just blend it, changing the mode to reverb, blending it to taste. And then we can do the same thing with the DI guitars. So now let's hear how it sounds with all the processing and without. And now let's move on to the last and bonus tip, which is to make an electric guitar sound like an acoustic. And so this is the electric guitar. The trick here is to record not only the DI signal of the guitar, but also to record the strings with the microphone. This is the direct input. And this is the microphone. And together, and from here, we can do pretty much the same thing. We can apply an IR, all the other processing. But as you can hear, it doesn't sound as full and as powerful as the real acoustic guitar. And that's because the IRs that I used were meant for a direct acoustic guitar recording. So instead of using an IR, we are going to make our own impulse responses. How to do that? If you use 𝗧𝗛𝗪, this is very simple. You enable the tone matching option, capture the input signal, which is the recording that you want to apply the sound to. And as you can see, the input has been captured. And now let's capture the reference from the acoustic mic. I'm going to sidechain this. And now we can enable this little button here, SC, which is sidechain. And now we can play the first guitar and capture it, of course. As you can see, the curve is matched. We can extend it. Now when we play the electric guitar, it should sound very similar to the acoustic. We should also match the volume. So as you can hear, it does not have the same quality as the acoustic guitar, but it has the same tonality, and this is what we are going for. So if you do not own an acoustic guitar, you can always make your own acoustic impulse response. Actually, I'm going to put this IR in the package on my Patreon as well. So if you want to, you can play around with it as well. Now save this IR. Now we can choose the sample rate, the length, the channels, and yeah, that's it. We can now reuse it. Now we can also tone match the guitars using a different plugin, for example a Pro Q4 or any other EQ with tone matching capabilities. Pro Q is probably one of the most popular options, but of course you cannot create an impulse response with it. You can always save a preset. So in Pro Q we can click it right here to open up the instance list, and then we click this EQ match and we play the input. And now we can play the reference. Let's click match, and as you can see, it created a curve. We can increase it or decrease it. I'm going to put it on max just so that we can have as detailed curve as possible. And now we can compare. So as you can hear, it sounds very, very close, even closer than 𝗧𝗛𝗪 actually. Either way, as you can see, you can create your own sound using a different guitar as a bass. So my secrets have been revealed. I have been doing this for quite a long time, especially because before this guitar, I used the electric guitar. So this bonus tip is actually what I used for quite a long time. So now go and create some nice music. Thank you for watching.